Chodesh Tov, it's the month of Elul, and we are here to sound the shofar for you. I'm in Italy. Andreen and Howard are in Portland. I will at some point be doing this from Portland with them, but right now I'm in Italy. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the Jews in Italy because of the idea of teshuvah. So one of the things that we're doing in Elul traditionally is this teshuvah idea, and I have actually personally a hard time with figuring out what that means I'm supposed to be doing in a really old sense, if you will. It means like atoning for your sins. What does that mean? I don't really find it, that doesn't grab me. And so I like to look at the idea of teshuvah as a sort of using the idea of returning to something, but returning to what? Returning to a sense of community, a sense of finding within oneself how one fits in a community, for example, just one of the examples. And for me, being in Italy, where we own a house, and I'm spending part of every year here, it's very interesting because I'm not Italian at all, but there's Jewish community here. And so one of the ways that I can find community, particularly this time of year, is by kind of embracing the Italian Jewish tradition and the idea of Jews. So I'm going to, over the course of a few of these, talk a little bit about the history of Jews in Italy, briefly. And so the Jewish community in Rome is probably one of the very oldest communities, continuous communities of Jews in the world. There were Jews in Italy for certainly more than 2,000 years. We have evidence from the 1st and 2nd centuries BCE of things that went on that involved Jews. For instance, during the Maccabean revolt in 139, before the Common Era, Simon Maccabeus sent a Hasmonean embassy to Rome to kind of bolster favor against the Hellenistic influence that was going on. And there was a Jewish community there, and there is records that they interacted with each other. Rome had brought a lot of Jews in as slaves. Slaves was kind of the word they gave to people who'd been captured in war, and I'm sure they had a slave kind of idea going on there. So during the 1st and 2nd century BCE, a lot of the Jews that came in because they were captured and forced to work for the Romans. And those Jews actually spoke Greek because they were coming out of the Hellenistic areas. And they were Greek-speaking and poor. And then, of course, the community grew and they became more educated and became a more important force. The Romans appear to have viewed the Jews as followers of peculiar, backward religious customs. Now, this is pre-Christian, right? These are like the Romans looking at the Jews as having these sort of backwards religious customs. You know, they only had one God, and it's much more, I guess, modern and advanced to have lots of gods, as maybe the Romans are thinking. So they had a little bit of disdain, but there was no such thing as anti-Semitism. That had not yet been a thing that existed. But the Romans did recognize and they respected the antiquity of the Jews' religion and the fame of their temple. However, they didn't really know very much about Judaism, but Julius Caesar was a great friend to the Jews, and when he died, many of the Jews mourned his death. So the synagogue, the word synagogue comes from the Greek. The person who led the synagogue was called an archisynagogus. And the tombstones of a lot of these early Italian Jews the actual tombstones are in Greek with maybe a little bit of Hebrew and Aramaic, but they have menorot, the ritual menorah inscribed on them. Okay, so that's your Italian Jew history lesson for today. And you know, it is funny that I feel connection by reading about these facts about things, but it's like, whoa, the Jews have been here for such a long time, and now I'm here, and I am part of their community. Okay, let's play some shofar. Tikia.
Shfarim. Trua.
Yeah. Chodesh Tov.
Mm.
Oh, I have to turn it off. Bye.